The Lost Gold of Overland Express. On the night of November 4th, 1875, masked men held up a Central Pacific Overland Express train on its way to Reno, obtaining over $40,000 worth of gold coins intended for the Yellow Jacket Mine's payroll. It was reported that besides the traditional saddlebags, they carried the stolen bags in old boots that they tied together, a crafty solution. The outlaws escaped to the northwest, some making it as far as Layton, California. They were quickly rounded up, sentenced, and in the Nevada State Prison by Christmas Day. All of the money was recovered except for 150 $20 gold pieces. At today's prices, those gold coins are worth an estimated $500,000. While it sounds like these pieces of change are worth the hunt, there are some circumstances to take into account. First of all, there are a lot of rocks lying between Reno and Layton that make a good hiding spot for a boot full of gold. The stash could literally be anywhere. Also, after serving their sentences, 4 of the 5 robbers were never heard from again. Did one of them uncover his stash, or did he lose track of it? $3,000 was a lot of spending money back in those days, so it is unlikely that it was spent in the short time spanning the getaway. In any case, you may want to keep your eyes open for an old boot. Dead bodies of the Hoover Dam. Over 100 people died in the construction of the Hoover Dam. Of those, 96 are identified as official industrial fatalities, allowing the deceased's family to obtain compensation. Not included in the 96 are individuals who died from pneumonia, a diagnosis now believed to be a cover for exposure to high levels of carbon monoxide. Those who died of pneumonia often worked with gasoline-powered equipment in a 140-degree, poorly ventilated area. Claiming pneumonia as the cause of death allowed 6 companies, the body governing this massive construction undertaking, to pursue a loophole preventing the payment of death benefits to the family. Interestingly, no locals died of pneumonia during this time. To build the dam, enormous 7-foot deep and 7-foot wide buckets poured concrete into square rectangular forms ranging from 25 by 25 feet to 25 by 60 feet. Depending on the square footage of the block needed, the concrete level would rise 2 to 6 inches after each pour, making it rather difficult to lose a worker in a small increase in depth. Falling into the concrete might become an issue, but the workers could easily be extracted before the concrete hardened. If a body did make its way into the Hoover Dam, however, the point of burial would quickly become a weakness in the structure of that particular concrete block. A human body is less structurally sound than the same volume of concrete, and if the body experienced any sort of decay, an air pocket could form around the body, further decreasing the stability of the weak point. But in 1933, W.A. Jamison found himself on the wrong end of a tumult of recently poured concrete. When the concrete gave way, the wet concrete slid down the side of the Hoover Dam, covering Anderson and at least one other worker. Anderson did not survive. 16 hours after the fatal accident, workers removed his body from the site. Goldfield Hotel. Goldfield sprang to life in 1902 after prospectors discovered gold in the area. The town's population quickly swelled, and by 1906, 20,000 people called Goldfield home. 2 years later, the Goldfield Hotel opened its doors and was the height of luxury, boasting a saloon, fine dining, and the fanciest elevator in Nevada. However, the ore in the mines didn't last, and as the mines emptied out, so did the town. By 1910, the population of Goldfield was less than 5,000. The hotel limped along until 1940, but closed forever in 1945. The property is now privately owned and off limits to the public. Today, less than 300 people live in Goldfield. In 2007, Zach Bagans, Nick Groff, and Aaron Goodwin released a documentary titled Ghost Adventures. The film features the trio investigating the Goldfield Hotel and footage of a brick flying across the room seemingly by itself. It made the investigators famous. Ghost Adventures is now in its 15th season, and the crew has reunited to that hotel 2 times. The host, Zach Bagans, says Goldfield holds the key to the answers about the afterlife. A number of legends surround the over 110-year-old hotel, though the most disturbing involves a prostitute named Elizabeth. The story goes that the hotel owner, George Wingfield, got Elizabeth pregnant and, fearing a scandal, chained her to a radiator in the basement so no one would discover their affair. There, the terrified woman remained, pleading for help until she either died in childbirth or was murdered. George then threw the baby down an abandoned mine shaft. People claim to see Elizabeth roaming the hotel, a ghostly woman in white, bemoaning her tragic fate. She particularly likes room 109. An infant's wails also pierced the empty hotel, so the story goes. Other spirits at the hotel include 2 suicide victims on the 3rd floor, a trio of ghostly children, and their dwarf companion, a menacing ghost known as the Stabber. George Wingfield himself walks the old halls, leaving the scent of cigar smoke in his wake. Area 51. What exactly goes on inside Area 51 has led to decades of wild speculation. There are, of course, the alien conspiracies that galactic visitors are tucked away somewhere inside. One of the more colorful rumors insists that the infamous 1947 Roswell crash was actually a Soviet aircraft piloted by mutated midgets and then wrecked remains on the ground of Area 51. Some even believe that the US government filmed the 1969 moon landing in one of the base's hangars. But for all the myths and legends, what's true is that Area 51 is real and still very active. There may not be aliens or a moon landing movie set inside, but something is going on, and only a select few know what's happening. The forbidden aspect of Area 51 is what makes people want to know what's in there. Nevada's cursed Pyramid Lake. It is a breathtaking location which holds an undercurrent of menace simmering quietly under the surface and holds mysteries that have surrounded it since when the very first people settled the area. It is an ancient lake and is remnant of Lake Loahatin, a vast body of water which once covered most of the northwestern area of Nevada during the last ice age. The name Pyramid Lake derives from the numerous soaring limestone cone-shaped formations called tufa formations that line the shores and jut up out of the water, with the largest of these being Anaho Island, looming out over the water like the ruin of some indestructible ancient civilization. The lake is well known for its crystal clear waters, pristine beauty, and picturesque vistas, as well as for being a sanctuary for vast amounts of birds, including geese, pelicans, gulls, owls, ducks, and as well as a home to numerous endangered species of fish. Another thing that many might not realize is that this spectacularly beautiful locale is steeped in dark history and tales of strange creatures, mysterious disappearances, and sinister curses. Surrounding the area of Pyramid Lake has long been inhabited by members of the native Paiute tribe. The tribe lived in peaceful seclusion for centuries before the lake was discovered and mapped by an American explorer, John C. Fremont, in 1844. It was indeed Fremont who gave the lake the title Pyramid Lake. From here, European settlers of the area began in earnest, with settlers trickling in from the east, looking for a new life in these badlands. This new settlement had disastrous consequences for the Paiute, as miners chopped down pion trees, a major food source for the natives, and cattle ranchers used the destruction of the already sparse vegetation with their herds, as well as competing with the Paiute for these grazing lands. While the Paiute people at first tried to live in harmony with the white man and traded with them regularly, most of the tribe did not appreciate the disruption of their way of life and resented the presence of the settlers on their ancestral land. The simmering animosity would eventually boil over into violence as the Paiute raiding parties fanned out indiscriminately murdered settlers on their land. These raids graduated to full skirmishes and culminated in the Paiute War, also known as the Pyramid Lake War, which occurred in 1860 around Pyramid Lake and consisted of two violent engagements that killed around 80 settlers and an unknown number of Paiute. The violence would continue sporadically until both sides agreed a ceasefire in August of 1860. Since even before settlers arrived, there was a long tale of ghostly demonic spirits inhabiting the clear waters, such as serpents and a type of water imp that were known as water babies. These specters are said to look like babies with visages twisted by rage and hate, and they were claimed to lurk under the surface waiting for victims to wander too close, which they will then drag down to their deaths. The story of these bizarre creatures come to be varies. One version, mostly told by European settlers, was the Paiute had the disturbing habit of disposing of unwanted or deformed newborns by throwing them into the lake to drown. This was allegedly done to weed out the weak and keep the tribe strong. And it is said that these abandoned, murdered babies that prowl the water. It is a ghoulish story, to be sure, but is likely based on an exaggeration aimed at making the natives look like savages. The Paitu themselves say that the water babies are a result of a great serpent who one day emerged to feed on the baby of a mother who was washing clothes. The demonic serpent then took the form of the baby and began devouring the mother as well, only stopping when it made a deal with the village shaman that it would be allowed to prowl the lake in exchange for letting the mother live. Ghouls, that was 5 urban legends from Nevada. I apologize that I didn't talk about Area 51 too much. I feel like it's too much of like a well-known conspiracy for me to spend too much time on it, but the Pyramid Lake one, I had no idea about, and I had a lot of fun looking up facts about it and like all the backstory to the legend of the water babies and stuff. I thought that was really interesting. So yeah, I hope you ghouls enjoyed it. If you heard anything in the background, that is my bearded dragon. He's jumping around and being a nuisance in his terrarium back there. But who else is sad that spoopy season is almost over? I don't want to take my decorations down. I want to leave my Halloween decorations up. So let me know in the comments if you're happy that, Halloween's over and soon it's going to be Thanksgiving and then it's going to be Christmas. Are you a Christmas person or are you a Halloween person? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, the next video will be on the top left. The last video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.